Hi, I'm Peyton Perry. I'm a current junior. I'm majoring in political science. I'm from Huntsville, and I'm running for president.
Hi, my name is Davis. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm a current sophomore from Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and my major is industrial distribution, and I'm running for executive vice president. We're running together because we both saw that there was a desperate need for change, not only just in USGA, but also on the executive council and just the traditions that have been set within USGA on the same friend group running every year and always getting it, and them appointing their friends to executive cabinet, and then just persisting the performative actions that they do and not actually doing what USGA was meant to do. So we noticed that this wasn't going to change this year, especially with the current people sitting in their positions and then possible people running at that time. So we decided that we should run and then realize that each other would be great candidates. So super happy to be running with Peyton.
Yeah, and I'll kind of add on to that a little bit if you don't mind. I think Davis and I were at the point that a lot of other people in USJ are at this year, probably about 2, 3 months ago, and we weren't going to return to USJ, and we didn't want to. We had no desire to, just because we, we kind of felt like it was a hopeless, pursuit. And when everything kind of happened outside the Hill with that guy, and then I know most of the student body knows the USGA group chat kind of blew up in on itself. That really prompted Davis and I to kind of look inwards and be like, this has to change. It can't be any more friends protecting friends and chasing after a position that you're really not qualified to hold in the first place. And so Davis and I kind of spoke to each other, and he was one of the first people to stand out, and voice his concerns about having empathy and looking at situations from other people's shoes. And for me personally, I really enjoyed that. I really liked it about him, and so that's at least why I'm enjoying running with Davis right now. So. With our platform, what we really wanted to focus on is not having a just long, glitzy glamour list of initiatives to pursue that, would make us look good and would make us, look like we were trying to get everyone's votes, right? We really wanted to focus on substantive issues that we knew that we could change going into a new administration, and that we knew needed to change. Every single year it's the same underlying issues with USGA. It's the same issues of student perception, student involvement, student representation, and it never really changes. And candidates come and go, and candidates say, I'm going to have this initiative list or this platform list, and I'm going to, do this with something in the library. I'm going to do this with residence hall visitation, and that's all good and great, but nobody really focuses on these underlying issues. And I think, at least for myself, that's what I wanted to focus on. Really amplifying the student voice, talking to students, being able to make them aware of stuff that is going on that they haven't been traditionally aware of.
And then going off of that, one thing too about our platform is that everything that we have on there, like we can handle ourselves with the help of other people, of course, but those are things that we actually want to change within USGA. Some of previous platforms and campaigns have had long lists that they just throw off to other people. Specifically, one of the committees on USGA this year was created for someone else's platform and campaign, and they've helped with none of it. So I'm on that committee, and like they haven't helped with it. And then they even tried to, once they gave us the initiative to start planning for, they took it away and said, no, y'all shouldn't work on this anymore. And it's just like, why create this committee, tell us to do this, and then take it away? Just like, if that's something that you want to do, you should, if you're going into USGA with ideas, you need to be ready to do those ideas yourself, or at least accurately find people that are interested and passionate about that initiative to work on it themselves. Because otherwise, one, it's not going to get done properly. Two, that's just kind of messed up of you to go into USGA and just throw all of your stuff onto another person, because everyone that goes into USGA has their own initiatives that they want to accomplish within that year. So having a long platform list of things that you know you yourself cannot handle, that you know you're going to end up throwing off on someone else, is just a horrible thing to do in USGA, because other people are going to want to do their thing. And because you're in a higher position, people are going to think, oh, well, they told me to do this, I have to do this. And that's just not the case. And it's really rude to all the other USGA representatives.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I don't think that there's one thing that qualifies me, more so than Angela. I think it's really boils down to student experience, direct student involvement, being able to listen and actually pursue things from that listening. I think as an RA, I live with the student population. I assess their needs daily. I listen to them daily. I find problems to solutions. And so that is a big thing, and as an orientation leader this past summer, being able to talk to incoming freshmen, hear their worries, especially with COVID, and being able to translate for them, like, hey, this is how things are going to work out. It'll be okay. We'll make it work. And so I really just think my previous roles as a student leader on campus in really being directly involved with students qualifies me more so. I think Angela has been involved with USGA, and she has been involved with student body. But if you look at our track records, it's not near as much direct student involvement and near as much direct issue analysis as I have under my belt.
So I'm just going to talk slightly about our platform as well. So the current roles of the executive vice president are they control Senate, and by control Senate, they're supposed to just be there to guide Senate on what actions they're supposed to do, or just like be the speaking voice. But then Senate is supposed to have the majority of the power, and that's just not the case right now. But they're supposed to lead formal Senate with parliamentary procedure, which current EVP does not do. But I know parliamentary procedure, so I can actually do that. And I don't know if my opponent knows it, but I just know that the current EVP does not put that into Senate. So that's one thing that I'm qualified to do. Additionally, I think I'm qualified for EVP because I want to take power away from EVP in the control of Senate, because Senate deserves to have their own power. So I want to distance the current EVP role from Senate and just have it there for the first couple months or weeks, however long it takes to get them situated, because we'll have new senators and they need to know like what to do, how to go about Senate. And then I want to distance myself. So only sit in just to make sure that things are running smoothly. And then there's a Senate majority leader or a Senate chair, and I want that person to take over the EVP's responsibilities. That way, Senate controls Senate, what they do, when they do it, and the power is getting back to the whole legislative branch. And then by doing that, I would change EVP's roles to be more supervising what they do, and then focus more on the president's positions and running cabinet, because that's what executive branch is supposed to do. And I think I'm qualified to do that. I have several other leadership roles on campus, and then I work well with the whole team on all of those.
As having the privilege of being president of USGA, it is a privilege to talk to students and to relay student concerns to administration. So, first and foremost, I think as president, I would actually have substantive conversations with UAB administration about how UAB can best support these underrepresented students. Instead of just having my executive council or my cabinet draft a meaningless response and, posting it on social media, actually having those conversations, going into the biweekly meetings that the president has with administration, saying this is an issue, we need to work to solve it because student body is mad. I think also with my own personal experience, I'm not sure if you watched the debate last night, but I did speak upon a little bit about The Black Student Caucus. It was started this year at the beginning of summer or the end of summer. And it was promised as like, this is going to be USGA's way of lifting up our Black student population, lifting up those Black voices. And, coming in as a new chair of the Social Justice Committee 2-3 weeks ago, I was very, very shocked to learn that they hadn't met since the end of summer or beginning of fall semester. They haven't been pursuing any active initiatives after they initially met, and a lot of people are angry with it. A lot of people think it's a performative action, and I think within USGA, what I can do is establish those. Like I would want to keep a Black Student Caucus, but I would want it to be efficient, and I would want it to be actually running the way it's supposed to be and not be performative. And I think a unique opportunity that I would have as president is to be able to communicate and relay within USGA that like, hey, we're not doing this for show. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it right. And kind of having the entire institution adopt that mindset.
I know one thing that I think the current administration talks about is that they have outreach to these student organizations like BMen, BWomen, BSAC, but I don't know how far that actually goes on their communication. So I would like to enforce that communication, and I have a connection to the SMDP office, being in both Queer Peers and Safe Zone. So I can talk to, if not them, their advisors, and actually get effective change done on how to meet with them, see what they want to see in USGA, get people interested in joining USGA, try to convince, and if we get elected, show them that we're actively changing it to be for the better, and then that we're actually trying to listen to students' voices and get the change that they want to see. And then so hopefully that would get them passionate enough to also join student government. And then so that's one thing, is actually, see, it's hard to say like actually reaching out to them and like getting them to hear, but I just personally don't think that the current administration is trying their best. And that's something that me and Peyton would do.
I think number one, this addresses the criticism and also addresses the issue at hand. And I said this in the debate last night. As president, as EVP, as a new USGA administration, I want to publicize every single move that USGA makes. Publicize minute meetings, publicize, the open student forums in Senate meetings, publicize every meeting that Executive Council has and what they decide and what they're going to do, their next action items for the next week, for the next month, next semester, because students don't know anything. We went and talked to Freshman Forum, like Davis said, and none of them knew that Senate meetings were open, and Freshman Forum is in USGA. And so, that's really disheartening. And I think from the very beginning, we have discussed, we want to publicize every single move that we make. As far as addressing those criticisms from the student body, it's not something that you're just going to be able to come out with and say, hey, we're a new administration, we're doing this better, please like us. It doesn't happen that way. It's not going to happen overnight. But I think being upfront with the student body and saying, look, we recognize that this has been an issue in the past, and we're going to do our absolute best to fix this. These are the action items that we're going to take to fix this and to show you that we're being transparent, and we want you to know what we are doing as a student government. And then just having that progression of development of, okay, if they have any more suggestions, if they have any more criticism, let's address them as they come in, and let's try to be as transparent as possible.
Concrete things that we have been talking about is possibly instituting a weekly or bi-weekly newsletter to send out to students about everything that we're working on. And then if not that, I mentioned, I think last night, actually going to RSOs, which is something that isn't really done in USGA right now, and talking with them on specific issues to tell them what we're doing, see what they're doing, see how we can collaborate on possible things together. And then so that's one way that you can reach the student body without having the current polls or surveys on their Instagram that no one really interacts with. Because if you go to the RSOs and see that and show that you care, then they're going to respond. And then one possible thing too is actually reaching out to people in USGA and telling them when we mess up.
with this, it sounds very, very simple, right? And it sounds like you're giving a BS answer. But communicating with the student body, doing outreach, listening to them, listening to different ideas, not coming in as a USGA administration and thinking, oh, we were elected, so me and Davis know what's best and we know what we're going to do and we're going to do it, right? We have this initiative list and this platform list and we want to pursue it all because we think it's good. But if we get elected and the majority of the student body says, we don't want this, we want this, it is our job and our duty to do that. I know there have been talks before previously. I know there have been talks in this current Senate campaign about possibly establishing a House of Representative type student forum that meets once monthly. That's not an official part of mine and Davis's campaign, but I think like if that's something that gains traction and students like that, then we do that, even though it's not part of what me and Davis have said we wanted to implement. And I think that's the difference and has been the difference in communication between USGA and the student body is everyone comes into USGA and says, okay, this is my list. This is what I want to do. It's either this or bust. And there's no real active listening to the student body about what they want.
Reaching out to RSOs is a huge thing that USGA is lacking. And that's obviously going to get more student involvement if we go to them. One thing that was being proposed during a open forum for senators was having a like rewards program for RSOs. So basically the money that they're given, give them extra money if they reach out to USGA. And that's what they were considering doing, but there's a lot of problems with that. The biggest being that it's not the RSO's responsibility to reach out to USGA. It's USGA's responsibility to reach out to RSOs. And then so that was the biggest thing that I was saying against it, because they're just like, oh, well, like we should have RSOs like come to us and we can do that by giving them money. But like even if we give them money, like as good as that might be for an incentive to get them to reach out, like that's still just not their responsibility. Like they have their own mission statements, we have ours, and ours is to get involved with them. So literally just going to RSOs and actually speaking with them, meeting with them, seeing what they want us to do is a great way to get student involvement.
Probably an unpopular opinion among some people. But I don't think that we can trust the executive council to make decisions about appointments by themselves. Traditionally in the past, we have seen, and that is how perceptions in the student body have evolved into the cabinet, and these appointment positions are not diverse, they're not inclusive, they're not representative of the student body, they're representative of the friends of the president and the vice president and the executive council. And so I think adding into the mix of appointing people an external advisor not associated with USGA, or an external faculty member not associated with USGA, that can help to guide the executive council on these appointments, help to point out things that we may not see, that would be very, very beneficial. I think in terms of what I personally would look for in applicants, overall qualification and experience, right? I'm not going to care if you're my best friend and you're applying to this position. If you have no prior experience that would translate well to this position, and you're not actively conveying that you want to represent the students to the best of your abilities, then you don't deserve the position and somebody else does. And I think that starts with promoting it. We always say as USGA going into after the elections, cabinet positions are open, apply now, like you can do this. And that's fine. And I think that should continue, but we also have to realize that's not reaching the entire student body, and we need to find alternative ways. We can't just stick with the things that we've been doing and still getting the same pool of applicants every single year if we want to say that we're being inclusive. So yeah, I think just starting off with that, looking at qualifications over, oh, this person's very well known on campus, let's appoint them. And actually getting into the nitty gritty, taking the time to actually interview, actually, look at qualifications and go from that point. regardless of whether or not Davis and I win this election, obviously we want to because we believe we are the most qualified and we believe we can make the most effective and positive change on this campus that needs to happen. But I want the overall message of this campaign. This campaign has never been like a happy-go-lucky vote for me. It's always been from the start. There are issues that the student body at UAB does not know. And they deserve a right to know. Student government is supposed to represent them. They are supposed to be transparent, and the student body is supposed to know what their representatives are doing for them, and they don't. And so, like I said, from the very beginning, this has been about pulling back that curtain, pulling back that veil. And I know that Davis and I probably pissed off a lot of people because when you try to actually change something for the better, or when you try to change something drastically, a lot of people are going to get mad at you and be upset. But I think, if we could leave off with one thing, I would just want the student body to know that like this, it doesn't have to be this way. And their perceptions of USJ don't have to continue to be this way.